On this week's project, I'm going to be showing you how I made this jumping bunny rabbit just in time for Easter out of toilet rolls. And I made a little stand for it as well. So here's the things I used to make this. So I used some wire, some water later on, some polystyrene ball for the base, some book paper, toilet rolls, probably about 6, kitchen towel. And looking on my Pinterest board of previous DIYs, this is the shape I'm going for, the jumping rabbit, which is also my logo. This was a previous DIY, this one I made out of 2 eggs. This wasn't as complicated. I'll leave a link in the end of the video if you want to check that one out. So here we go, a toilet roll. I want a head, I want some legs here, and I want some legs here. But the problem is with the toilet roll, it's straight and it's round as well. So I had to figure out a way on making this curved because I want like a nice, like a big smiley shape like that going from the bum up to the neck. So I originally cut this with a craft knife, but I didn't cut far enough over. So I cut further over with the scissors like this. And then I cut about 12 little sections, just meaning that it will be able to like fold up. So it's a bit like a slinky. I was going to cut out a few of these sections in the middle here. But I just ended up tucking them in, and then that instantly then would curl easier. And then just use masking tape just to hold the position. So I've used this wide masking tape. It was the only one I could find, but it turned out it worked well. And maybe it was even easier to tear all the little strips I need going forward. So that instantly there gives the shape a little bit more of a curve. Excuse me, I'm busy getting over a cold. If I sound a little bit, funny. So then I cut the ends here, just because then I knew I could fold these over on each other slightly just to get even more of a curve on the ends of the bunny. So I'm not recording every piece of masking tape that I tear during this video. I'm actually making this at 11 o'clock at night, sitting at my desk in my office with my lamp on. It's great to have, this little space where I can do my crafts. So I got some florist wire and I just bent 2 legs in the front, 2 in the back. Nothing fancy. I just mainly was making sure there was enough length, because you can just remodel and shape these if you need to later. Excuse me. So I just made sure the back legs were a little bit longer as well. So I have got a couple of rabbit ornaments around the house, believe it or not. And I was just glimpsing at them just to check and make sure I was getting the proportions roughly right. So then I pushed this florist wire. I just made it in one piece, as you can see there. And then I used the tape. A roll of tape's really handy for stabilising this going forward. So I got some kitchen towel and scrunched it up. Maybe 3 or 4 pieces. I think maybe it's about 4 pieces I put in, and just to fill the toilet roll. Stuff it quite firmly, but not too much. You don't want to split anything open. And then just use the masking tape to seal it closed. So some bits of this video I've speeded up a little bit, just because, well, it's already about half an hour long, I think. So yeah, just secure the like little ribs almost where it's where the toilet roll has and then just if you squish it up like this and then put some tape on, that'll hold it up like that. So that's giving it a much more curved shape. And then just put some masking tape around the ends. So here I've used 2 pieces of kitchen towel and I've folded it up, like rolled it in on itself, and just created like a rough egg shape, just like an oval shape, and just squeezed it as tight as possible. And then had a look to check it's the right size. So yeah, 2 pieces were fine. And then I used little bits of masking tape just to hold the shape in. I love doing projects like this where I have no idea how it's going to turn out, or if it's even going to turn out. And I'm just really feeling creative, which is often when I'm not feeling very well, which is weird, no. And then, yes, I just figure it out. I really love doing this project. This has reminded me of I'd so much loved to just do this full time and create a really good project like this each week. It's just time. It's time when you have work and stuff to also do. So here I just folded up a couple of little pieces of masking tape in a little squares and then stuck them on the bit that was a bit squidgy, the bit that was a bit dinted in on the head. So you can do this going forward to create a little bit thickness if you want to bulk out an area. Just fold up a little piece of masking tape. So once I've decided where the head's going to be, and just making sure I wanted the head facing forward. So then I just put a little bit masking tape on the back, but was careful not just to push the rest of the masking tape down and move the head out of position. Whoops. And then just put this on a roll of tape. And then just carefully done the same going round, masking tape on, keeping the head in position. But then just carefully making sure the rest of the masking tape isn't stuck down and pulling it round or blending the head in with the body too much. So I just used a little craft knife there just to make that easier. And then a few other bits just around to stop the head flopping about. So I've got the head facing forward, the same direction as the body, if that makes sense. So here I've just used pieces of toilet roll. So these are just a few little longer strips of toilet roll. And then, so sometimes I put 2 pieces together, sometimes 1, just depends. And then just put some masking tape around. So this is just to add shape to the body, because at the minute that's between the legs there is just basically the end of the toilet roll. So just added a few strips there just to give it that nice rounded chest. And then a few pieces around this section just to bring it out. But if you plan on doing this project, just look at a rabbit model, and it's quite easy to kind of see what bits are going to need bulking out. Yeah, just look at a jumping rabbit model to get the shape right. So you really want to make it quite curved, because I found that the rabbits or the shapes are quite curved. The belly's quite curved, the back's quite arched. So here I've just got me little pieces of masking tape and very carefully and quite tightly wrap them around the wire leg. Just keep going, wrapping around, and then you can start to see the shape or what bit of the shape needs to change and become more rounded or fuller. So on this leg, I just started by wrapping just the little bits of toilet roll, little pieces around. So you could start either way. I've done the opposite on this one, as you can see. And then just added some little pieces here. So you could like I say, you could make little rolls of masking tape if you want to bulk up the shape, bulk out the shape, make it more rounded. Or you could just wrap pieces of masking tape round and round. Or to get more definition, just use the little pieces of toilet roll card, just cut little shapes out. So here I've put a couple of little thick chunks of folded up toilet roll just to bulk out this shoulder area here, so it doesn't look like the legs are coming from within the body further in. They're coming out from like more the muscles on the sides. So I've loved making this project. This has probably been one of my favourite projects. I've been doing my YouTube now like on and off for 10 years, but more off. I've done it more way back 2016, 17, 18, and then tried to get into it a few times since then, but life gets in the way, doesn't it? Anyway, if you're new to my channel and you like what I do, please subscribe and hit the notification so you can join me on my crafty journey, crafting my way through the seasons. Spring being my favourite season, as you might already know. So here with the legs, I've tried to create like feet on the end, but rabbits have got very long feet. But I can always bend that. Look at the tape on the side of my desk here. So if you're doing this project, if you're going to do something similar, don't worry about the wire. You can always just bend it. You can bend it later after you've covered it or before. So for the thighs of the legs and the legs, tops of the legs, I felt like that's where I needed to add the most little bits of like padding or like muscles, if you like. So I cut semicircles. I've cut quite rounded shapes to add to the bum, and like a long strip here, rounded shapes here, and then I've stacked up three little discs on top of each other, and just wrapped it round there just to get it bulked out a little bit quicker. Sometimes the tape doesn't stick down, not very often. I think it's just if I've touched it, the sticky must come off it quite quickly. That's not a problem. You can just go over with some tape. So I'm not even sure how long it took me to do this project when I think about it, because I've done it, I've kind of done it on a few evenings after work kind of thing. Or how I'd love to just do my crafts full time. So just wrap that round there. And then you're trying to create like a bit of a chicken leg shape. So this shape here I've got is basically like a semicircle cut in half. And this is quite a good shape actually to wrap around the leg. It holds on quite well as well, like that. And then the inside section there, you really need to be bulking that out a little bit as well. So it's just not like a little straight, narrow kind of shape. It just needs a little bit definition. So you can fold the toilet roll up a good few times, maybe even 4 times sometimes, and then cut some shapes out of there. And then you're getting the same shapes if you were wanting to make the same shapes on the other side. But I've generally gone with just building up one area and then copying it to the other area. So these are just little circles. So I found in some sections cutting more rounded shapes seems to be working better, or for under the legs, like longer strips seems to have been working better. So then just tape that on. So this is quite a long video. So hopefully I show enough so you can see how I made this bunny. Obviously I couldn't put the whole video on. It's already edited down quite a lot, but hopefully you can see how I've done each little section here. But I really have just kind of gone with just and I mean a few times I started on a little area, then went back to it, you know, because sometimes you have to kind of see how another area is going to look, I think, before you can see how the next area needs to be. So I'm actually finishing this project and publishing this on Sunday the 15th of March today. So happy Mother's Day to all you lovely mothers out there. Have a lovely day. The sun is shining here in Northumberland, and hopefully it will be nice enough to go out for a little wander later. So getting back to the bunny here. So I've just been doing some speeding up little bits here so you can just kind of get a better idea of how I do this. I hope I've done a good enough job of describing. So on the belly here, I noticed it had gone a little bit misshapen, a little bit squidged out at one side here. Probably just off where I was holding it. So I just stuck my craft knife in a little bit reluctantly, can't say it. And then just pushed in one section just to tuck it in tighter. And then just put some tape around it. Yes, so it is, yes, it's Mother's Day. I didn't realise it's just crept up. This year is going by so fast, especially now I'm doing my weekly videos and writing the blog. It all just takes, it takes up a lot of time, but in a good way. So I'm enjoying doing the blog. I haven't finished it yet. I've just got my last 3 projects on there. There's a contact form on there so you can send me messages. What else have I got on there? There's a link to like free templates and what have you, but I'm still working on it. So it's minniemoore.co.uk, and hopefully you'll be able to subscribe to the blogs in the near future. I just need to set that up. I'm not that good with doing like things like that, so I'm figuring things out. So hopefully it'll be a nice little place to be able to share things and write about things going forward. So the rabbit's starting to take shape now, so I'm just doing the other leg here and using little sections. I was going to miss off showing you this second side, showing you doing this leg underneath, because I already showed the other side, but just in case it's more useful and more helpful, maybe I missed off some bits. But generally what we're doing is just wrapping the masking tape round, trying to figure out bits that look like they need to be thicker or wider, and then just adding little shapes of toilet roll, or just cord if you had cord, but just quite thin cord, nothing too stiff. The toilet rolls are just brilliant for this. I love doing inexpensive, well, most of my crafts are inexpensive, and they're just generally made out of paper or just things that you have lying around the house kind of thing. So I just put a few more bits on the bottom there. Just really felt like the bottom needed, the shape needed to be right. And then on the cheeks here, so I felt like, especially this being more like a bunny rabbit, felt like the cheeks needed to be a little bit kind of more defined here. So put a couple of little oval shaped cheeks on. Another cup of tea, and I'm in my dressing gown. Oh, what would I do without tea? I know in America it's not even a big thing, is it? I know it's like coffee, but oh, I love my cups of tea. I've always got a teapot nearby with hot water in, because I like it to be hot. So I've just added more sections here to create more of like a chicken leg shape, and just having I get a nice rounded thigh area here. So for the face, for the head, I just added a few little strips of toilet roll going round, just to give the top of the head a little bit more of a flatter face and the front a little bit flatter here. So just really keeping it like an egg shape, and then just lay a few little pieces, like I say, going round, little straight strips. So I use my pliers here just to squeeze in, just to make a little indents where the eyes are. And then here for the ears, I just got some toilet roll and then just cut an ear shape. I've made some little tabs on the bottom here, just as a means to be able to attach it to the rabbit. So all I've done to make these little tabs is I just cut 2 little slits on the bottom of the ear. Just little ones, and a very light one across like that, just to enable them to just bend inwards and one the other way. And then I just put a little bit of masking tape in between there, just so it would be easier to stick it down, rather than trying to put a little piece in between afterwards. And then there's a little bit of a more close-up, but you can see I'm just attaching it. So yeah, try and make sure the ears are in the right position and in the same position, obviously, like symmetrical. A few little things I thought you cannot really get wrong. Well, it's best to get right, and it's probably the head position and the ears. And then just carefully wrap bits of masking tape around the ears, which is a little bit tricky because it's cardboard and the masking tape always wants to go a different direction. So here I just used my craft knife to cut the ears down a little bit. I'd made them a little bit wider on purpose because I was thinking then I can curl them in a little bit. So I've just curled them a little bit there, and just tried to curl the ear itself a little bit, just really gently, because it is just toilet roll. It is just really thin cord. It's actually quite easy to work with. It's not that difficult to work with. And then just covered the ears with masking tape. I'm not sure if I even needed to. Yeah, I probably did need to do it. Cover the ears with masking tape. And then I just added a few little bits of tape round just to hold those little bits in. And then I'm happy with the shape here. We have the cheeks are built out. I've pushed in for the eyes. I've flattened the nose off. Added the ears. Flattened the top a little bit. And now it's time to add the book paper in a paper mache type way. Is that the right way? I forgot to put glue in at first. So a little tip, I would leave the paper to soak for a little while before you start adding it on. So mix a bit PVA glue in water, and then put some strips of book page in. This book is slightly old looking, so the pages aren't really white. So I thought that worked well. And then just gradually you just add little sections on. You can't really add big strips on because it's just too detailed. You need to add little sections on, otherwise it will just lift up or not lie flat. And then I tried to add pieces of paper that had writing on, so I mixed out the borders and what have you, just so that the whole rabbit was full of writing and it wasn't like patchy with bits that didn't have writing on. So I wasn't too bothered that it was the yellow would be shown through. That's literally just one. That was literally just one layer of a book paper, slightly overlapped. So for the base, I cut a polystyrene ball in half. So I've just left my rabbit drying on the window ledge there in the sun. And then I cut out a little recess area around the bottom here. Originally, I was going to put beads around here. And then I changed my mind. So just blowing all the polystyrene away off my desk here. So then I used glue just straight on the base to add the book paper onto the base as well. I was a little bit messy and a little bit gooey, but I left it to dry in it and it all worked out fine. So then once the rabbit and the base were dry, I just got a tea bag, put it in some water, just a warm water, tested it on the base of on the bottom of the rabbit first to check it wasn't too strong in colour, and then used a really soft brush to just brush on a layer, excuse me, of the kind of tea bag water, just to give it a nice vintagey feel. It's quite nice doing this. So just make sure it's really completely dry, obviously, before you do this. Left them to dry. Once they were dry, I trimmed around the excess bits of paper around the bottom of the base. And then tried the beads on and I just didn't like it. Jumped onto the next bit and I put a hole in the bottom of the rabbit just using a little thin little screwdriver. And then I decided I'm going to put this bit rope around that recess area and use these ends as the tail. Not sure where I got this rope from, but I did try twine. I was going to put loads of little pieces of twine round, like wrap it round, but this was much easier and actually looked better. I measured it first just to check that I had the right length to go around, because it would be much trickier to try and cut the end off once this was attached. And then just put that round there and just made sure it was gluing on at the right position, showing around the edge, and some bits weren't like sitting too far back, and just carefully glue the rest of it. And then that just dried instantly, as hot glue does. It always makes me a little bit nervous sometimes because you don't get a second chance. And then I got a skewer and just pushed it through the base, making sure it was like in the right position and standing straight up. Obviously that's way too long. So I just figured out where I wanted the rabbit to sit on and added a bit more on for the bit that pushes into the body. And then just marked it and then just cut that and then just snap that. So this is quite thin, I thought, for the actual kind of pole, but I decorated just to make it a bit thicker. So once that, I'm happy with the length of that. I've just put a little bit hot glue in there just to stop it moving about. So I did end up adding some beads in the end. So I added a large bead on first. Just pushed that into that little bit of hot glue that was still there. The little beads sit on quite snugly, so I didn't add any glue for that. And then I think that finished off the base, give it a bit more shape nicely. And then I just pushed the stick into the rabbit and just checked how much was going into the rabbit. So I felt like this was enough. I just marked it. And then I used my hot glue to attach some twine, the end of some twine, to the bottom, just above those beads. And then just carefully wrap this round. I was really careful to make sure it was quite tight the way I was wrapping it, and neat. And then used a bit of hot glue to carefully, at the mark where it enters into the bunny, carefully just glue the end off there. And just trim off the twine. And then I just push that into the bottom of the bunny. And then with a sharp craft knife, I cut a little square area where the bottom is. And then some of the rope that I had left over there, I've just tied a little bit brown thread around it to keep all the little fibres together. And then put some hot glue in that little square I cut out. And then just carefully put that little bit rope in as a tail. I fluffed it up later once it was dry. I've wrapped around a few little wire roses here, since it is Mother's Day today, just to give it a little touch. And then added a couple of little eyes and a little smiley mouth. And also added a tiny little bow around his neck. I loved making this project. I'm quite proud of myself how I just figured this out. I'm now going to enjoy the rest of my Mother's Day and let you enjoy this video. And have a beautiful day. And I'll see you soon on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.